Good morning, children. Welcome to our time together for our children's message. Today is Sunday. It is March 7th, and our church day is the third Sunday in Lent. I have our candle lit, as we have learned that this candle represents Jesus, and Jesus Christ is the light of the world, and no darkness will ever be able to overcome it. I'm very glad that we are part of this time together. I wanted to let you know, and if there's some adults that are watching, that one of the things that I have really grown into and really thinking an awful lot about for the future is that the importance of faith in one's home. Churches are meant to provide information, to guide and to help, but this is kind of a big word, to equip, to give the things that families need to learn about God and to help one another. So I do hope that after you watch this video, maybe you can talk what it is that you learned over with an adult or adults in your family, and then have a discussion about why it was important to learn what you learned. And maybe if you're doing some bad behaviors or things that you learned are bad behaviors because of our lesson, you can make some changes. So this information is meant to come into your homes and not just watch it and be done with it, but to start a conversation of how we can continue to be God's people. Today I am in one of our school classrooms. Our ministry has a school called Luther Memorial Academy, a very important place and a very special place to me. This school has classrooms K through 8th grade, and it's just a really wonderful, safe place with some excellent teachers and just top-notch students. It's just a really positive place. And even with all of the pandemic, our school certainly has things online, but the school has been really helpful and hopeful in gathering kids together in these classrooms, of course with masks and distancing. But this is one of the classrooms, and this is Mrs. Carey's classroom. And I wanted to come in today because we're going to be talking about the Ten Commandments. But before we talk about the Ten Commandments, I wanted to make a connection that is before us each and every day. You all go to different schools, some of you similar schools, and let's just think about a normal year, or maybe even a not normal year. You come into class, and let me ask you a question. Do you just kind of walk into class and flop your coat down on the floor and kind of just do whatever you want to do when you walk into the classroom? Probably not. I bet on the first day, the first week of school, there are certain rules that your teachers give you. I would think that you walk in and probably say good morning. You have a coat, you hang it up in a certain place, you put your lunch in a certain place, you have a certain desk that you're assigned, and as students are coming in, there's probably certain things that are expected of you to do. So there's a whole list of rules that teachers gave you at the beginning of the school year. Some of you probably don't like some of the rules. I mean, most of us don't love rules, but rules are meant to make our lives better. Let that sink in for a little bit. Rules are meant to make our life better? Well, yes. Rules, of course, that make sense and are reasonable and have care at the end of it. Some rules could be made up to be mean. But I suspect that the rules that you have in life, in school, or in your homes, if you step back and really think about it, are rules to make your life better, to allow you to grow up to be the person that God has intended you to be. Now, we get rules from parents and grandparents, aunts and uncles, teachers. We get rules from bus drivers. We get rules when we're in a restaurant, right? There's certain expectations that we have. Some of them we don't even think of. Well, you won't be surprised to know that there are certain rules that God has given us. And these rules are not given to be mean or nasty, But the rules, or what we're going to call the commandments, are given so that they may protect our life individually and together. These rules, if we follow them, will make our lives and the lives of people around us better. Now, will they make our lives perfect? No. You know, part of what it means to be a person is to have struggles in life. There's things that happen because that's just the way life is. But I have found that when I'm able to follow the rules, first to know what the rules are, and then to spend the rest of my life following the rules, I'm sure as I look back in my life, I'm going to say, boy, I'm sure glad that I listened to God on that one. So let's dig into our Spark Story Bible. And for those of you who do have a story Bible, we are going to be looking on page 94. Okay, there's our Spark Story Bible. Page 94, it's titled The 10 Commandments. There's the picture of what I'm going to be reading from. You can see there's a mountain and there's lightning and there's people that are on the bottom of the mountain. We're going to learn about who those people are and why they're there and why there's lightning. And we're going to hear the story and then talk about what we've learned together. The 10 Commandments. The Israelites were on their way to the land God had promised them. It was a long way. With God watching over them, the men, women, and children walked and walked and walked over the hot, dry land. When they got tired and needed rest, they would set up tents and camp together under the stars. While they were camping at the bottom of the mountain called Mount Sinai, something incredible happened. On the morning of the third day that they were there, a dark cloud covered the mountain. Crash, boom, bang. Lightning and thunder filled the sky. The people were afraid. Okay, so you can see them. You can see the lightning and the thunder. Well, you can't see the thunder, but you can assume there's thunder there. And you can see the people on the bottom mountain. They look afraid, don't they? Yep. Suddenly, the voice of God called Moses. God asked Moses to climb to the top of the mountain. So Moses grabbed his walking stick and climbed up, up, up. Here's the next page. These are tablets, stone tablets, that have the listing of the 10 Commandments. So God provided these 10 Commandments written on stone to Moses. So let's learn what those commandments are. When Moses got to the top of the mountain, God spoke. God said, Moses, listen up. I have important rules for you and the people to live by. You can turn to this list to know how to love God and each other. Do your best to follow the list. It won't be easy, but I am with you and I love you. Then God gave Moses a list of 10 special rules called commandments. They were, number 1, I am God, the only God. Honor me above all other things and people. Commandment number 2, there are no other gods for you, only me. Commandment number 3, my name is special. Don't use it with bad words or mean talk. Commandment number 4, take a day of rest each week, call it the Sabbath, and make it a special day for God. Commandment number what? 5, show your mom and dad and others who take care of you love and respect. Commandment number, just pretend I have 5 up, and this one, 6, don't hurt others with your words or actions. Commandment number 5 and 2 is 7, if you get married, you must be loyal to your husband or wife. Number 8, don't take things that aren't yours. Commandment number 9, tell only the truth about your family, friends, and even those who you do not know. And commandment number 10, be happy with what you have. Don't wish for the things that other people have. Okay, last 2 pages of our story. You can see Moses standing up there. And what does he have? He has the 2 tablets. And how many commandments are written on those 2 tablets? 10. Very good. There's probably 5 on one tablet and 5 on the other. So let's hear the rest of the story. And with that, the dark cloud went away. Moses walked down the mountain. The people were still scared from the dark clouds and thunder, but Moses said, "Do not be afraid. God has given us special rules to teach us how to live together in peace." Moses told the people about God's rules, and they did their best to follow them. Now, at the very end, there is a question. There's a little star. Here's the little question. There's a little question there. I'm going to read it. Here's the question I want you to think about. And then I want you to talk this over with an adult or adults, or maybe brothers and sisters. So here's the question. So make sure, adults, that you spend some time answering this question. Which of the 10 commandments is the most difficult for you to follow, and why? All right, now, for those of you who do not have the book, you can have somebody there to Google, if you don't have them memorized. I read them, but you may not have them memorized, the 10 Commandments, so you can look at them. But for those of you who do have the Spark Story Bible, I want you to look at that list and say, which of those commandments is most difficult for you to follow? Well, I'll tell you that sometimes it changes with age. I would think that one of the more difficult commandments for children is let's see here. I'd say number 5. Let's read what number 5 is. Show your mom, dad, and others who take care of you love and respect. That's a commandment that says honor your father or mother, but it's about people who have authority, who are older than you and who are in a position of authority. And we're to honor them. Boy, sometimes we just don't want to listen to teachers, or sometimes we don't want to listen to parents or grandparents because we think we know it all. We don't think it's fair. We don't like all the rules. But God has given these people in our lives for our benefit, to help us and to care for us. So a way that this Word of God comes into our homes, this is a great example. As you learn this commandment number 5, here's what you do. You learn it, you digest it, you memorize it, and then you think to yourself, what are ways that I have not lived up to that commandment? Maybe just yesterday I didn't listen to my mom when she asked me to do something and I ignored her. Well, that was going against the commandment. So you have 2 choices, really. One is you just keep on ignoring that commandment and ignoring your parents. Well, that's not going to end very well. I guarantee you that. You're going to spend a lot of time grounded in your house. Or God has spoken to you, to us, to say, these are the rules. This is how you're going to have a blessed life and how you're going to bless others. Well, I know what's right and wrong, so I am going to do what's right. So just as you're prepared to ignore or to not listen to a teacher or a parent, you remember this commandment and you say, uh-oh, I better listen. I better do what's right. So maybe you can have an honest discussion with your family about things that you don't listen or reasons that you don't like to follow certain rules. And maybe you can do something that's very difficult. You can apologize to a brother or a sister, or apologize to a parent or a teacher and say, I learned something and I did something wrong and I asked for your forgiveness. And boy, that feels good just to forgive about that. Just a few other ones that I wanted to highlight as we close out the story today is the one that's right after that, number 6. Do not hurt others with your words or actions. Boy, oh boy. If you were having trouble thinking of examples of not honoring or showing your mom and dad and others respect, I could guarantee that number 6, do not hurt others with your words or actions. Boy, what a commandment. And, sometimes I like to think it'd be nice to have these 10 commandments written down on our hand, somewhere where we can see them all the time. And, we just keep looking at that list and saying, okay, boy, number 6, I'm in a new situation, or I'm in school, or I'm on a sports team, and that person's driving me crazy, and I want to just reach out to them and yell at them and say something mean, but, I remember that commandment, that rule, that thing that God gave me to, again, make my life and the life of someone better. And sort of how that making my life better is, another example is, do not steal, do not take things that are yours. That's another commandment. Well, think of what happens if you're in a store and you steal something or take something that's not yours. Of course you can be forgiven by God and family members, but there's consequences. You can get in trouble. The police could come and talk to you, and then it's and these are things that there's consequences for our actions. We're always loved children of God. We're always forgiven. But we live in a world in which there are consequences. And so God gives us these rules, these commandments, to help our lives and to make them better. So I want to leave these with you. I'm also, if you do not have a book, there are so many wonderful listings on the computer. I'm going to have a suggestion before our closing prayer. Just as I said, I wish we can write those 10 commandments down. I bet that if I asked adults in the church to stand up in front of the church and name all 10 commandments in order, I bet most adults couldn't do it. They kind of know of the commandments, but I think even for adults who are watching right now, I think you'd be challenged to actually name all 10 commandments in order. And that is something that I think that we can all learn and grow into. So maybe you get online. This was a list that I pulled off of the computer that I'm going to post on our webpage. And this is a 10 commandment listing for kids, for those of you who are watching today. And, they have nice little pictures by them. So why not take this list that I'm going to post to our Facebook page and to our webpage? Why not print it out? Why not put this on your refrigerator? Why not put it in a book? Why not put it in your Bible? But put it someplace that you could see it. Don't tuck it away somewhere. Put it maybe on a dresser or your bedstand, or again, somewhere that you and your family will know what the commandments are, and memorize them. Have these things come into your head and then down to your heart. And then because they're rules that come to us from God, this is God speaking to us. This is a real blessing, and this is a gift that God gave to Moses, that God gave to the people Israel, and that God has given to all of us. All right. Well, just at the ending time here, I know I only have so much attention and time with you, but for our closing prayer, I'm going to read the commandments. I read them from the Bible, but I'm going to read it from this sheet, just to add some additional language to it, to add a depth. So this is our closing prayer. Dear God, I pray that we may follow the 10 commandments. The 10 commandments being, love you more than we love anything else, of not making anything in our lives more important than you, of always saying your name with love and respect, of honoring you by resting on the 7th day of the week, of loving and respecting our parents and grandparents and teachers, of not hurting anyone, of always being faithful to our husbands and wives, of not taking anything that isn't ours, of always telling the truth, And finally, in being content in what we have and not wishing for other people's stuff.